everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Back Hash. My name is Sid. Joining with me today is William and Zach. Chris is on hiatus for a little bit, and we out.
Malaria or something?
Oh no,
malaria.
not malaria, but something probably as painful that I wouldn't want to go through.
I wouldn't either. Look,
No.
I felt his pain when he said it too. I was like, bro, I've never gone through it, but when last time I came home, my mom had it, and boy,
yeah, so not here for it.
I can just see it in her.
But we have a special guest today with us, Mr. Hunter. How you doing, Hunter?
Hello.
So Hunter is a former member of the Drum Corps Society. I'm not going to say everything because I'm going to let him do that because that's what he's here for. But we're going to have him on, talk about his experience, probably talk a little bit about Drum Corps today, maybe what he's looking forward to. You know how we do, just kind of hang out and just talk Corps on some stuff, and it'd be a good time. Mm-hmm. So, but kind of before we get started, everybody doing all right? We got everybody settled settled into summer.
For sure.
I don't want it.
My sleeping schedule is already jacked. Which is gonna make some.
They don't know what to do up here, but they calling for about 118 some up here.
118.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I about slapped the grocery lady.
Why did you slap? No, don't slap the.
Because that's who I was talking to. I don't know.
Slap not the grocery lady.
Don't say that. It's like, girl.
She's trying to punch it and tell you to weigh your mangoes or whatever you bought, and
listen,
she just gets slapped across the counter.
Oh my god! I'm trying to have some small.
That mango sauce I made was fire too, boy.
What are you doing something? So,
hey, I be trying stuff.
You do.
Oh, we know.
Hunter, your summer going okay?
No.
Yeah. Been pretty boring. Mostly just sat around the house. Sophomore year is very exhausting.
Enjoy the boring.
But it's doing. I'm doing okay.
Take it while you can.
Yeah.
Enjoy the boring.
That's true.
Well, we're going to get into it because I know sometimes we like to dig into some stuff a little bit more and all that good jazz. So, Zach, who is our interviewer extraordinaire, I'm going to go ahead and let him take the lead on stuff. So, Zach, man, it's all you.
Yeah. So, Hunter, just tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do?
Well, I'm a music education major at Western Kentucky University. I primarily play saxophone, but the drum corps community will know me as a mellophone player. That's what I do. Love the horn line. I've lived in Kentucky for about 10 years. I went to high school here. I grew up. I learned to love band right here in South Central Kentucky. Yeah.
So, kind of digging into your drum corps experience. So, just kind of inform us when and where did you march?
So in 2023, I marched my rookie year with Music City. A Rose and Its Thorns, great show. Mm-hmm. And then 2024, I marched with the Colts. That was on Fields. Last year, I didn't audition anywhere. But in the winter, I was with Obsidian Winds for their inaugural year. So I have a little bit of winter guard experience as well, or not winter guard, indoor winds.
Indoor, yeah.
I actually auditioned in a couple places this year, but financially it wasn't going to work out. So I'm going to be teaching again. But that's, in terms of experience, that's what I've got.
Cool.
Yeah, Obsidian is a kind of a up and comer. They win. Did they win A?
First year? This year.
They won open this year.
They won open class this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I saw
hardware.
I saw them last year. Their inaugural season. I said,
last year we got silver in A class.
So you know Jamie Millicent.
I do. Yes.
Yeah. Next time you see him, tell him William said what's up.
Will do.
Yeah. And congrats, man, because, boy, I watched that show.
Both of them were
Yeah.
good. Both of, I was
Yeah,
just
they
like, I'm
were.
like,
Both.
who's doing stuff? It's like,
Listen,
so,
yeah, they figured it out because even like you said, both, man.
Yeah, they got some great folks down there. I knew Nate. He was primarily he worked with the music and he wrote a lot of the show music. He was our assistant caption head in 2023 Music City. He worked with Garrett Coswela, who I think is part of the brass staff there now as well. I haven't seen him, in 3 years since he was my caption head, but I knew them going into it, and all those folks over there, they work at Station Camp. They're all great people. Um, I absolutely loved it there. Obsidian was great. Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah, you hopped into the activity with some groups that had some good momentum building. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you talk about Music City. That that show was one that kind of was it their. It wasn't their first year in world class. It was kind of their first year where they actually kind of made a little noise, and I think their
Um,
design really changed that year, and it was a big jump for them that season. I feel.
yeah, we've Music City, actually starting like primarily in 2022, like onward, the staff retention has been a little bit difficult. They've switched through a few different caption heads, but I think from 24 to 25, I think they kept mostly the same staff. They might have changed percussion staff again, but I know they're sticking with Tom is their current caption head down there. And their brass sound has developed really nicely over the past few years. I mean, they sounded incredible last year. There's just quite a lot of turnover, especially in 2023. Our new core director, Chaz, um, it was a little rocky in terms of administration. They were kind of all over the place, but they've really started to find their footing, and I think they've got a lot of really really good stuff going on. We finally we broke past 17th place this past year. We were in 16th. We broke our record yet again, which is something we did in 23 as well. I think they have a lot of really, really good stuff going on down there, and I'm excited to see what they've got going on this year.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that was listening to us, we all kind of pull for the home team a little bit with them being so
Yeah.
close, and we want to see them do well. So it's nice to see that they're getting some good momentum and
Mhm.
everything going. So kind of transitioning into this is kind of like, I guess you could take these both and answer once. I don't know. So like, what made you want to march drum corps, or like, what was your first experience with drum corps?
Um, like a lot of people, I feel like my first exposure to drum corps was just videos online. I'd get them in my recommended because I do band, so I watch saxophone videos and stuff. Learning about the saxophone, and that stuff would come up. Specifically, the infamous Crown 2017 dropping the hammer. I think in Houston, that video, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, was my first video exposure to drum corps, which is actually what led me to go. I went to the finals in 2022. Um, I primarily went to see Crown because I just loved the sound of their horn line. But I fell in love with the activity that year in it was the 50th year, I think,
Mm-hmm.
of drum corps. I thought it was a great year. Um, it was mostly just online though. I didn't. No one at my high school really knew about drum corps. It wasn't in the culture at all. Um, I kind of just found it on my own, and I really enjoyed it. It Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
that's
interesting how
basically how I discovered drum corps. Yeah.
it's interesting how some like it do be like that. Like some high schools don't really like give out a lot of information about drum corps or indoor and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Like they don't really voice it that
Mm-hmm.
much, or and it's like I guess it's just a lot of lack of probably experience or just having it around or it being talked enough about enough to be made a big deal. Because like you said, it's kind of true because they played a video in the band room, and that was the first time I had seen something. But it just so happened that following year, you may not know, but we hosted at our high school. We hosted the Kiwanis Cavaliers. Like that following year, they was housed at our school. So it was like, okay, yeah, this is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had I know Pioneers stayed at our school 1 year, and Les Etoiles stayed there because Western used to host a show
Yeah.
back in the day.
I think I heard about that like a long time ago. I don't know too much about it, but there were whispers of it around at Western. I think Western would be a great place to do it even now. I mean, maybe not necessarily host a core for like a spring training because no one really, there's almost nothing in the state of Kentucky at all. But this year they have DCI Lexington, which I think is great that they're just bringing the activity to Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, at all. I know Murfreesboro is about a similar distance. So, like, distance-wise from at least Bowling Green, I mean, you could go to either of the shows, but just bringing DCI to Kentucky, I think, is really important because the entire surrounding area, it's everywhere.
I think the problem,
and I think it'd be cool to see more shows.
Problem with stadiums, and a lot of these college stadiums are, they're hard to get. I know a lot about it here recently just because, with dealing with state marching band, trying to figure out where we're going to do it every year. You have to wait until all of the football schedules are made and then figure out which has an open date on the date that we want to host state. But I mean, over the summer, like I said, I mean, they can run it. I mean, they run state marching band championships there, and there's 30 bands there, so they can handle 10 cores just fine. Especially over the summer months when the campus isn't really, I don't know. Be interesting to.
Only problem with Western is the one way in and one way out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's another tunnel, but it's right up against the road. So
yeah,
that's the biggest issue with hosting cores. I would feel like it's a little bit different for high school band, but yeah.
Logistically, it'd be a little funky.
Yeah. It'd be if it. I would see it as you would have to tell your core because I feel like there was a show when we was in Scouts where they told us instead of doing something normal to get off the field, we had to congregate as the whole core off to the right or something like that, create a line and go on the track. And if maybe a memo or something can get pushed out, because it would sound like, okay, if they did something like that, push down towards the stands or something, the other group comes out by that time, and then you flee out while they come on. You see what I'm saying?
They could make it work. They could figure out a way.
Yeah.
Because that reminded me, because I'm pretty sure we did that, because I had remembered like we even practiced it. So, but yeah, that would be dope. Because I mean, the SCGC's already there, and so that place holds a lot of cool stuff. So,
yeah.
All right, let's see here. So tell us kind of you started at Music City. Tell us about your audition experience. Did you try out anywhere else that season?
I actually did not. In 2023, I was not expecting to make it into a core at all. I barely even knew how to play mellophone. I think I had been playing for 2 or 3 months, just on and off, like while I could, practicing on those old Kings that we've got around the band room. But I was mostly just wanting to expose myself to what an audition camp is like, the environment of drum corps, because I just heard from a lot of people that it's good, like even if you think you're not going to make it, just to get out there and get experience. And as someone who's marched drum corps now, I think that's one of the most important things people that can do is just go to a camp. I know they're expensive and costs are only getting higher every year. Like, I think my registration for just auditions in November, I think it was like $225 just for the that one camp in November. Not Music City, different corps. But yeah, I hadn't gone. I actually, the first night that I was there, they had signups on the wall for audition times the next day, and I didn't sign up because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not going to make it. I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. Um, but one of my friends, I was on the phone with them that night. It was about snack time, and they were convincing me. They were like, just sign up. And so I went up and I put my name on the sheet. Next day, I did my audition. Last day at camp, they're like, hey, we want to call you back. That was a big surprise to me. It was a little scary at first. Obviously I didn't know anyone, and I was still young. I think I might have been 15, 16. I think it was 16. I can't remember exactly. Yeah.
So like you said you got a call back. So
Yeah.
what were you more nervous about, the playing part or the visual part, or was it a little bit of both, or you know?
I was worried about the playing part because I had barely played mellophone. I'm a saxophone player.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew people who played woodwinds did drum corps, but it wasn't
Mhm.
as common, and it's still not. I know plenty of woodwind players who do, um, but typically they don't. They just don't have the same drive as some brass players do. A lot of people just want to go for the experience. They're like, I marched drum corps one year, and it just kind of wasn't enough for me personally. But in terms of my audition, I always thought I was a pretty good mover. I actually think that's what carries me a lot. I think I do a lot better with the visual aspect even now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like marching while playing was my biggest concern because I had tried it on my own and it was just not working out for me. And honestly, I don't think I really got it down until the end of spring training in 2024. Um, so I definitely was not perfect. I very, very flawed. Um, but they saw the drive and they saw that I wanted to improve, and they're like, that's what we need right now. I think I was just open to being molded. I think
Yeah.
that's primarily what they want. Someone who they can build.
I think that's important for a lot of people to hear because you're gonna have a lot of people who are afraid to even audition because of those exact reasons.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to do it because they know they can't march and play very well. It's bad. They don't. They feel weird sometimes, or maybe they
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. It's like when I'm teaching like snare players how to march with a corno triplet. It's your brain just goes crazy sometimes, and then they get in their head, and it's like there's no way they'll take me. So hearing stories like that is like sometimes these kids got to know that you're willing to learn for one,
Mm.
and not just your drive to say, okay, I'm going to work as hard as possible.
Yeah.
Goes beyond with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these staff people than a lot of kids think. So if you're great at marching but so at playing, they'll take you because you're going to look great on the field.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be their hardest element for them to get to you. And I tell you, it's like I don't care what a lot of these people say. Just because you in a band or a group or a corps full of 100 some odd people, don't mean you still don't look trash out there. Because you can always see that one person that don't make the
Mm-hmm.
line or something look weird, and you just can't stop looking at them because like, bro, your posture is killing me compared
Yeah.
to everybody else, and stuff like that is noticeable. So, but yeah, that I like when people do
Yeah.
have certain stories like that can
Mm.
other people can hear along the way and kind of get some motivation.
Yeah. I think being teachable will get somebody a spot over just natural talent
It will,
a lot of the
100%.
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, just in my personal experience, just in terms of playing, there was a few people who I know auditioned. They were better players than me. Uh, I we didn't. You don't really march at camps. It's just step
Mm-hmm.
outs and like basic visual exercise. Like you have vis block. Um, but even back then, I wasn't too confident in all the dance stuff as I am now.
Yeah.
Um, but marching wise, I was pretty confident. But there were definitely people who were more proficient, just overall. But some of them are just they're not willing to learn. I don't want to say arrogant necessarily, because sometimes it's not intentional. It's just really difficult for some people to take criticism without taking it personally, and it's really hard to teach people who just kind of can't take it, and that's sort of what they're also looking for. Is a lot of times core staff, they can be strict. They're really not mean. Sometimes they can be mean. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some techs and there's some staff members who definitely are just mean spirited, and it kind of stinks when that happens. But a lot of times they're just trying to push you because they want to know if you'll be able to handle life on the road. And it's more important that you're willing to learn, and you're willing to accept the fact that you're not perfect and that there are things you can learn. Rather than just like, I'm kind of good at the trumpet, and I'm going to let them know that, Yeah. I just think a lot of people overestimate what it takes to impress the staff members,
Oh, yeah.
I know so many people who could have marched drum corps and they're like, like so-and-so reason. They're like, I just don't think I'd make it. You probably would. Maybe not with that attitude, but I think there's a lot of people who want to do it, who could do it. It's just a matter of doing it.
Yeah, you gotta. I'll train a lot of students and tell them, no matter what school I'm at, I'm like, okay, this is how we do it here, but you need to be open minded to everything. So, and I tell kids, I was like, you got to understand, and you can't think somebody on staff is stupid or dumb. Let's say you go on the Spirit or somebody, and you got a kid who came from BD, and the staff members are sitting up there looking like, I don't care if you came from BD. This is how we do it as Spirit. And if you can't respect that, because you'll have a lot of people who's like, oh man, you're stupid. That guy came from BD. Ain't what that mean? Because it goes off. So is BD stupid for not doing Southwind or Spirit's technique? So it's like you have to be open to whoever says, okay, this is what we do here. And that's okay, because you're gonna have a lot of students go places and they're like, well, my instructor, this ain't your instructor, this ain't your group, this ain't blah blah blah. So I tell kids, I was like, be open. I was like, yes, do what we do here because we need to be uniform. But if another instructor comes to you or you go somewhere, don't be trying to throw my name in the hat, because I'm gonna roll you under the bus and be like, hey, I ain't teach them that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Be like you said, can you be teachable? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think just the most important thing, like transferring from marching band, high school marching band to drum corps, is just your discipline. I think it's important for high school band directors to sort of lay the groundwork for a lot of that stuff. I've seen some programs, they're just a little bit too lenient, in my opinion. You could obviously, they can do it however they want. But in terms of like talking about how this is what this program does, and this is what, you have to draw the line somewhere. I've learned straight leg, I've learned bent leg, I learned bent leg for indoor, and that was a huge struggle for me, but I did it and I learned it, and I think I look pretty good. You just have to be open to that. And but one thing that should never change is your attitude and your mentality and that discipline. I think that's the one thing that needs to stay, just because you're in drum corps now, or like if you're in drum corps and go back to high school, you got to be open to the fact that the level isn't as high. And that's something I had to learn, going to collegiate marching band. Even I had to, I don't want to say lower my expectations. That sounds bad, but I had to
unlearn some things.
Yeah. I was just at, the finals for drum corps. I just got out of drum corps finals, and I go back and suddenly we're learning basics, an entirely new technique. I get a little frustrated, but you just got to be open to the fact that it's different. not let ego get in the way, I think.
Yeah.
Drum corps is as much of a mental game as it is physical. It is physical, but it's also mental.
True.
Yeah, so Zed, do you have anything to add to that, or are you just being an observer?
I'm just listening. I'm just taking all in.
So you ended up in Music City your first year. So when you decided you were gonna try the activity and go back the next season, you ended up at Colts. But were there other places you auditioned, or other than them?
Um, it was actually kind of a funny story. In 2024, I didn't want to do it because um, I don't want to get too much into it. But in 2023, I had a pretty negative experience actually, for a lot of different reasons. And there are a lot of reasons in 24 that didn't have to do with drum corps that I wouldn't have wanted to do it. Like money is a big factor
Yeah.
for me and a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I didn't audition anywhere. I wasn't planning on auditioning. I had a friend in 2023. He auditioned for Bluecoats. He got cut and he got recommended to Colts. And he marched with Colts in 2023, where the heart is. 24, he came back and he was like, just come to an audition with me. He was like, please. So February camp, he convinced me. A week before the camp, I signed up. I got the material. I practiced, and I went to February camp. I wasn't expecting anything in 24. I was mostly just doing it for him, and we had another friend tag along. He was new to drum corps, but he was interested in trying out. We went together, just kind of hoping to have fun, and I got a contract off the first camp, which was very surprising. But I was very excited too. But I did not audition anywhere else because I was not planning on auditioning.
So, what about your experience with Colts? You said you kind of were late to the game, so that summer when you obviously kind of like you said you're changing different organization, different style, technique, different vibes. Tell us about that season for you, because that was a pretty special one for that organization. They've been coming off 2 or 3 really successful seasons, breaking back into finals for the first time in like 15 years or so.
It was a long time, yeah.
So, just talk to us about coming into that organization when they're kind of riding a lot of positive momentum and what that was like.
Yeah. I'm sort of trying to figure out exactly where to start. Well, as you know, I joining a corps in March. March being your first camp where you're actually contracted. Actually, it might have been April. It might have been like an early April camp instead of March camp, but you get the idea. It's very late time to come in. So I was really, really frantic trying to sort of get the lay of the land, because I had my audition in February. We had April camp and then spring training a month later, and I left for spring training the day after I graduated. So it was kind of just one thing into another. Very, very frantic time for me. I had a lot of stuff going in my personal life too. Just trying to juggle all of that, catching up on all those video assignments that I had missed before joining. But once I got to spring training, it was a very, very different environment. And I don't think it's just because they're a finalist corps. I think the expectation sort of sets a precedent in rehearsals and just the attitude in general. But the Colts have been around for a very long time. I think this year makes 62 or 63. It's somewhere in the low 60s. They've been around for a very long time, and the organization is very well established. The culture, they know who they are and what they do, and they're very confident in what they do. And that was a very different experience for Music City, especially because I had mentioned all the administration and all the turnover and stuff, and there was just no real clear direction of where Music City was heading at the time. But Colts, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, who they wanted to be, and what we wanted to accomplish in the the 2024 season, which was a big breath of fresh air for me. I think it took a lot of stress off the members, at least in my opinion. Because I didn't feel like I was having to create culture as we went, which is kind of what I felt like at Music City. They have culture and they have traditions, which were all great. But in terms of member culture, coming out of COVID, Music City, we had to rebuild as members and as like the horn line, and that's something I didn't have to do at Colts. Very vastly different experiences. Funding wise, Music City is well funded. They're a small core, but they have a very, very tight knit community. But Colts is, they've got their stuff figured out. They're just very professional. If there's one word I could use to describe Colts organization as a whole, very professional, very organized, at least in my experience. I enjoyed my summer with Colts a lot. All the staff that year I thought were great. I had nothing but good experiences with them. I liked the direction of the show design a lot more. Can't say much for the props. I'm not big on props personally. We at the beginning of the season we had those big mirror panels. I can't remember what we called them. But we had these big panels out in the field, and the goal was to like reflect the field back because on fields, they were so heavy, and we had to carry our horns too. So we were like carrying them like this, and there was these like straps that they had nailed into the boards, and oh man, I cannot say I enjoyed those props. In Arkansas, we had a destruction block where we just smashed them with hammers and threw them into a dumpster.
I believe it. I do it.
It was great.
That was one of them. Can't wait to throw it off the roof.
Yeah. That aside, I really enjoyed my summer with Colts, and I think it's a great organization. They're all great people. That was sort of the gist of my experience.
That's good. You're talking about that show, and I'm kind of thinking back on. I want to say I remember when that concept and the theme and everything was announced, I was kind of about it.
Yeah.
But after seeing it at finals, and obviously watching it progress, streaming and watching it online is a way different experience than in person.
Yeah.
But watching how that show progressed and became what it was, and then seeing it in person on finals night was a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
It was like a sleeper favorite for me that year, I want to say. But yeah, so that's awesome that you kind of stumbled into that very memorable summer with them and kind of got to be a part of that success that they've been having. So that kind of goes to our next question. What's your favorite memory from tour? Is it destroying the mirror props?
No, there was just so many great moments in 24. It's really hard to. Now that you've asked me, I've of course forgot every single memorable moment.
I was about to say, what's the first one that come to mind?
Maybe not my favorite, but one of the most memorable times. It was Cache, Oklahoma. We had a few training days, and we had headed down to Texas. This was our first. We had just arrived in Houston, getting ready for DCI Houston, and it's like 2 a.m. As you know, it is torrential downpour. Like, this might be the most rain I've ever seen in my entire life, and we still have to unload the buses, and we're all complaining. Everyone on the bus, oh my goodness, we don't want to do this. We have to, we get off the bus and we run into the building. Everyone's sopping wet. And the bus loaders, which would be me, we had to go out in shifts and like bring in 2 suitcases at a time and just slowly get everything inside. We were soaked. The luggage was soaked. Everything was wet. And no one was happy. We were all tired. The gym was a little dirty and it was really crowded. The men's bathroom did not have urinals. It was a trough, like a big feeding trough, and there was a big roach in it. Um, just one of those housing sites. But they said, hey, if you have wet stuff, put it on this table. We're doing a bunch of dry cleaning runs through the night, and we'll get your stuff dried and get it all cleaned. I opened my suitcase, and I guess one of the other bus loaders had been particularly violent with my suitcase, and my shampoo had exploded everywhere. And we had the San Antonio Free Day coming up just a handful of days after that, and my Free Day outfit just covered in soap, and I was distraught. Obviously I sent it off with I wet it, as if it was it got wet in the rain. It's just soap; it'll wash off. They had a dry clean. Everything was fine. It was just a very, very difficult time. Particularly memorable. Not my favorite. But weather creates a lot of those moments because you can't control the weather. It does whatever it wants.
All part
That's
of that
facts.
mental game.
Yeah.
It'd be like that too, though. Like one of your most predominant memories is probably something you hated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I'm like, man, there were a lot of times I really didn't like. But obviously I enjoyed so much of it. Every time we had free time, when we did laundry, laundry takes forever. You got to go through the whole core, and we'd split up between laundromats, but you'd have free time while you waited for your laundry.
Yeah.
That was usually some of the most fun moments of tour, was just going through the motions of just doing drum corps. Like performing is great, and I love performing, and I love the people, and I love drum corps. It's a great activity, but I think what a lot of people take for granted is just being there in the moment and just doing the thing. Because sometimes it kind of sucks. But for me, at least, I look back on it and it's like, well, it really didn't, because I got to do it with so many people. Like some of my closest friends. One of my best friends, marched with me in 2024. He's off at Blue Coats right now. He's doing his thing, but I had a great time. A lot of really good memories.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So have you've not aged out, right?
No, I age out in 28, so I have 2 more years. Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of time.
So if you could march anywhere, where would you go? No funding aside, whoever, wherever, you're gonna make it. Who would you pick?
I think I'd pick Coates. Personally, there's several different reasons, not just competitive success. I mean, obviously they're incredible, and they won in 24, and that was really, really cool to be there to see. And I have there's like we call it a pipeline. Is when like a lot of members from one corps typically end up at another corps, and a lot of people from Colts usually end up at Blue Coats. And there's a ton of people from 24 who I marched with who are there now. They marched there last year, and they came back as vets. But that's one of the corps that I auditioned for this year. I went to November camp. I got a call back to December. And I really like the environment there. It's very like, if Colts is very professional, but they're like the attitude is a lot. There's not a lot of room for fun. Just like in block and whatnot. Like Blue Coats is serious, and they take it serious. They want to be good, but they have a good time while they do it. And that's like, as a member, like seeing Blue Coats from the outside, like in the lot, we'd be in the arc. I'd be standing there at attention, waiting for instructions. And I'd see Blue Coats walk by. They're swinging their arms. They're carrying like a boom box on like a cart.
Man, listen, I already know.
The vibes are just
same.
They're just really good. They're good at what they do, and they know it, and they don't need anyone else to tell them that they're incredible at what they do. I've also just heard from my friends that the environment's really cool. Spring training is not chill as it's spring training, but the member
Sounds like-
culture is good.
Mm.
Sounds
It's
like when it's
generally
time
good.
to lock in and work, they know when to
They know
turn
how
it
They
to
know
on.
how to
prepare.
flip the switch. That's
Yeah.
that's exactly
Big
what I'm trying
time.
to say. Yeah, because
Yeah.
some cores don't know how to do that, but Blue Coats is definitely one of those cores where they know how to flip that switch on
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
I also just like their brass arrangement. I'm blanking on the name. I know his name. Their brass arranger.
Thor, not Thor.
Um,
That's Blue Devils. Glide. Is it Glide?
it's on the tip of my tongue, but
I should know this.
I there
I figured Sed would pop off with it immediately.
The first, as soon as we get done,
Doug Thrower.
Yeah, I was right.
Doug
Thrower.
Thrower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See.
Oh, sorry.
I,
I couldn't hear what you said. I thought you said Thor. I
no,
was like Thor.
Thor.
I heard Thor also.
Yeah.
So
From
Yeah,
Asgard?
Doug Thrower.
Oh, yeah.
His writing is just incredible. You know,
just
every year their music out of the water every single time.
stupid.
But yeah, if I were to go anywhere, it'd probably be Coats. I think I have the stuff. I just didn't have a lot of time to prepare this year, and I went to my
Mhm.
callback audition basically winging it. I had practiced the material maybe 3 times.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
College just got in the way, you know. High school,
Yeah.
not high school, collegiate marching band got in the way. I had no free time. I actually felt a little bit guilty walking in that room. I was like, this is not a performance that I want to be giving
Mm.
to these incredible staff at the moment. But yeah, I'm gonna try again this next year. We'll see what happens.
So I'm saying go in guns and blazing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck to
Lay
you.
it down for real.
So let's kind of shift gears and let's get into your experience with Obsidian Winds.
Mhm.
It's not drum corps, but it's similar but very different activity at the same time.
Yes,
So
yes.
talk about that a little bit.
So actually, for a long time, this is before Obsidian even existed. I wanted to do Winter Guard, like Indoor Winds, really badly. I thought it was really cool, and I knew that because that section of WGI is so new, like generally they age out. I think for percussion it's 24. Like I think guard and percussion I think it's 24. But Winds technically doesn't have an age limit. Because last year actually Ethereal Winds, who won Open A, or not Open A, Independent A. They marched with some of their staff members, which I thought was really, really interesting. But there's no age limit for Indoor Winds, so I was like, well, when drum corps is over, I thought there should be something really cool to try out. But the closest independent group to Bowling Green was Elevate, which is all the way up in Indianapolis, and a 3.5-hour drive every weekend was not exactly something I wanted to do. Especially like in high school and like going into college where I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money to drive up there.
Hey, look, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember one day I was on Instagram and I get recommended this page and I'm like, what is this? And I open it says Obsidian Winds. And I realized they had requested to follow me. And I was like, I don't know who these guys are. I looked into it and I figured out like who they were, because that was when Obsidian was just becoming a thing. One of the first things they did was open their socials. I don't know exactly when they put the website up, but I actually got in contact with the people at Obsidian not through like any of their social media or anything online. One of my old friends from 23 who I had marched Music City with, she went to station. I think she went to station camp. No, she went to a different school, but she knew Casey, and so I got in contact with Casey and Jamie and all them through one of my friends from drum corps, and they're like, "Hey man, we're just saying we have an audition in November. We'd love for you to come." Obsidian was brand new. No one knew who we were. We didn't know who we were. It was all very new for me. because Casey and Jamie, they had their schools. I think Station Camp, maybe not Station Camp, but they had dabbled in indoor winds before, so they had some experience in the activity. Some of our members did, but a lot of us didn't. Um, Very young, very very young group. Almost the entire group last year was in high school. There was a lot of them that were 15, 16, 17, and it was it was a crazy experience. Getting to be a part of that very first year, because we had the opportunity to make Obsidian whatever we wanted, and that was something not intimidating, but maybe just a little bit, because there was no foundation, and we were breaking entirely new ground. It was a little intimidating. I can't lie, and I was a little scared about how I would do. I ended up being fine, obviously. Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe exactly what it felt like, just being there in those first moments, because I actually, at first, they offered me a contract after my audition in November, and I declined it for primarily financial reasons. But in January, they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we just had one of our saxophone members drop out, and they said we really need a new saxophone player. Will you come back?" And we worked it out, and we talked on the phone a few times, and they got me in there. So I can't speak much to the first month or so of their trainings, in December, because I wasn't there for any of it. I think I joined about halfway through January was when I got to go to my first rehearsal. But it was really cool. I really enjoyed the experience. It was very new to me, being indoors, especially because I played saxophone instead of mellophone. I hadn't marked saxophone since my sophomore year of high school, and I was freshman in college, so I hadn't marked saxophone in 2.5 years. Very unique experience as someone who came from a drum corps background, because there's no indoor in the Bowling Green area. I think South Warren has a percussion group. Is it South Warren?
No. The guy right there, Cedric.
Yeah.
He runs.
Yeah.
He
Warren
runs
East.
the only group.
Is it Warren East?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I knew one of the WCPS schools had an indoor percussion group. I didn't know who it was.
They probably the only ones
Two-time
holding on.
world champs, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the gist.
Wow.
It was a lot. I'm trying to recall it as I go.
It's tough.
It's using a lot of filler words right now.
Yeah, it's probably tough to describe, because I was going to ask the biggest differences between drum corps and indoor winds. Because I can't speak on that. I can speak on drum corps and indoor percussion, but and maybe the color guard staff, but winds, I have not at any point been around it with anybody. And I mean, we watch it, but hell, there's nobody even up here that I know. I don't even think they got anything up here on winds yet. But I've always been intrigued on the how does it feel and it's almost man, it's how do you even ask the question? It's the difference between playing the instrument indoors like that than from playing it in drum corps in that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then switch, because you switch total instruments and then you switch in total atmospheres.
Yeah. I mean, I was playing a different instrument. I was inside. I had to march on the floor.
Is there approach? Is the approach different
to rehearsal?
As just maybe rehearsal design. Is there any similarities?
I think there obviously there's similarities and there are differences. One of the biggest difference is that you don't have to, like, I think in terms of staging, obviously you're inside, you're a lot closer to the audience.
True.
I mean, they will still mic up soloists
Yeah.
and whatnot, and there's still sound systems, and a lot of groups will incorporate like pre-recorded or like digital, like they'll include digital audio. I mean, Obsidian Winds did, obviously, just like as a way to assist the show design and the effect and whatnot. But I think one of the big things is that you can be a lot more creative with how you position people, and just because you don't have to worry about being so far away, but also in terms of that, you're dealing with a lot smaller of a space. I think the approach generally is probably about the same. It's just the methods and the techniques, like the nitty gritty is where I think it would sort of detract from like how you would design a drum corps show. But if you sort of draw the connection between drum corps and high school shows, and then high school marching band to indoor winds, there's a lot of connections that can be made, I think, in terms of the design approach. There's just some limitations that you have, and then some limitations you don't have, because they're two entirely different environments. It's drastically different, but a lot of these shows that I see in indoor winds could feasibly be staged for a larger group outside. It's not necessarily the approach that's different. It's just you're dealing with less people, less space, which has its pros and its cons. I feel like I'm kind of like beating around the bush here. Like kind of saying a whole lot with a whole lot of nothing. But
it's tough because, like I said, it was tough to even try to even figure out how to ask a question. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think because I did indoor when we still had our indoor line. My first season when I did indoor percussion, coming from the marching band aspect, the number one, obviously, besides me playing a different instrument, but the intimacy of the performance. Like you will be in somebody's lap if you are in one of those tiny gyms that you're packed into that they cram people into for these shows. Whereas in marching band, there is always that distance between you and the spectator, right? Between you and the bleachers. Whereas in indoor, it's like, oh, hello there. I'm sitting right here, and you're in my spot, and you're sitting in your seat. So I don't know what you're gonna do about it. So it's like that intimacy factor, like of it being that atmosphere being so close, and like a judge could be right up on you, somebody's 4-year-old could be sitting right there. Like that was the biggest adjustment. But then it also lends to, as a performer, you can draw that connection with those people so much easier, which, we've talked about this on this show too. Like when we're talking about drum corps, people, well, they got rid of the hats and they got rid of this, but now I can see the performer's expression. I can see and feel what they're feeling because I can see their face now. I can draw and make a connection with this show and what they're giving me because now I can see I can see that, and it's nice. I mean, I like plumes and shakos, but at the same time, I like to be able to see. Like one of my favorite things is at the end of the show at finals, watch everybody cry. Not because I like to watch people cry, but because you're seeing the fruits of their labor finally coming to pay off at the very end, and they are just in pure enjoyment of the activity and what it has done for them over the course of the season. So, that would be the biggest thing for me. That number one, like if you're coming from outdoor into indoor, like there's somebody right up on me.
Okay, it wasn't just me.
Versus
everybody. But kind of along those lines, it's the intimacy. Like when I first was designing indoor shows for percussion, I used a lot of things from marching band because that's what I knew. I mean, I did a year of indoor when I was in college. Um, and watched several shows, but for you use what you know, and then you have to kind of manipulate things as they kind of go along. And I think there are a lot of similarities that you can take from it. You just have to understand the space that you have, um, and the resources and the time you have. An indoor rent show is minimum 4 minutes to maximum, depending on the class, 8, 7, or 6. So not only do you have limited space, but you also kind of have limited time too. So you got to be able to cross all
your pacing.
Yeah, pacing's got to be good.
Gotta be
You got to check off your compulsory boxes, and you got to do it in a limited amount of time. Oh, and do it in a creative and an entertaining way.
Right.
So that's always a challenge for some. I mean, I've gotten decent at it over the past few years, between because my brain goes from designing marching band to designing indoor, and it's like, okay, well, I don't have 2 extra minutes. I got to get all of this great ideas across in 5.5 instead of 6 or 8. Right, yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of similarities. I mean, technique is technique anywhere you go. I'm sure there's some groups that will use, especially if they both teach. I mean, a lot of those guys probably at City, and like you said, came from Music City. So I'm sure they use a lot of the same techniques. Maybe adjusted them a little bit to adjust for marching on a field as opposed to a tart. And then, of course,
the pedagogy was mostly the same, though. Yeah, like the methods of teaching, it was very similar to my experience with drum corps.
Yeah.
The biggest differences I found was just like as a performer, as we talked about, like the intimacy and like just being so close to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like having to deal with audience engagement. In drum corps, you're on the back hash, and you have to connect with those people at the top of the stadium. And in indoor winds, if you're at the front of the floor, I could have a conversation with the people sitting at the bottom of the bleachers.
Literally.
I can see what color their eyes are. I can see whether or not they shaved today. You're close.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that I actually didn't even think about until you mentioned it is, as a performer, getting on and off the floor, because WGI, they are strict and they will not budge about those times.
Mm-hmm.
And Obsidian, my year, we got a few different time penalties. We were mostly good. At SEGC, we had a huge electronic malfunction, and we got an 8-point deduction, which was crazy. But they do not play about the times, and because we had so few people dealing with as much as you have to get on and off the floor, because we had all those props that rolled everywhere, logistically it was kind of a nightmare with as few people as we had. Just sort of to build on what you said, like as my experience as a member. So
Well, before we do I've only got one more question written down. Do you all said, Will, Hunter, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I know you said
Either.
Being a aspiring music educator, and you have 3 educators, some music, some esoteric, and some 5th grade social studies.
I mean, on the spot, I don't have anything specific. I think one of the most intimidating parts about like thinking about going into education is specifically what I want to do. It's just, well, I may learn that. I may learn a lot of that stuff in marching band tech, because we have classes for that. I'm not all the way through my degree yet. I just feel like there's a lot of stuff I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm gonna, I get a job, I get into the classroom, and I'm just.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
I feel like I'm not.
What do I do now?
I'm going to tell you.
What do I do now?
You're not going to know everything you need to know.
No.
No.
That first day of school, this is the reality. I'm an elementary teacher, but I'm sure all teachers have had this. The first day of school, you've already had open house, you meet the kids and the parents, whatever. First day of school, that bell rings and you close your door to your classroom and you go, what do I do for the next 8 hours with these kids? Like first day of school, the goal is get them there, get them fed, get them home. Like that's it. Make sure you got everybody. But like you're not going to have all the answers. You're not going to know an answer to a question or a situation until you've lived it. And then you go, oh, well, I guess that's what I could have done. Or, it's going to take 2 or 3 years before you really feel like, oh, I think I know what I'm doing here a little bit. Not to put you off about your first year teaching.
Well,
Your first
as
maybe
as the
awesome,
great
but
Joe Stites said, your first year will suck.
yeah,
And it's just, and it's not because you suck. It's just because you just don't know. Like,
there's so much new.
In the band world, it's every year's different, and you have to especially if you teach middle school, you got to relearn your kids. And you might have the same kids from 7th to 8th grade, but that summer between 7th and 8th grade is huge, mentally, physically, social, emotionally. And you're not going to know everything when you go in. You're not. And if you go in there thinking you do, it's not going to go well for you. College does a really good job of giving you information, giving you the knowledge, but you really don't know how to apply the knowledge or disseminate the knowledge to kids until you actually start doing it. Teaching band camp helps. Private lessons help. Teaching private lessons helps. The more that teaching Sunday school helps. Like anything that you can do to be trying to give information to somebody else is awesome. But just take every day and learn, reflect. Like, all right, what went well today? What didn't work well today? All right, what's feasible to do year long? And it'll be fine. You'll figure it out. And like you said, and every situation is different. I've taught at Warren East for 21 years. I taught band camp at Greenwood for 3, and I taught band camp at Warren Central. Those are 3 completely different type of band programs, all
in the same
city. All had talent, but you have to approach how you taught them all differently. And if you can do that, if you can make yourself flexible and moldable, like you said, to make drum corps, it's the same thing. There will be people, sometimes admin, sometimes other teachers in your building, sometimes in the band community, you can holler at another band director. But there are people that will help you and will answer questions, because they know they've been there. So
the best PD is the teacher down the hall.
Yep. So don't feel like you need to know everything going in. Just, absorb as much information as you can while you're in college. That'll give you a nice base knowledge. But you learn more in that first year or 2 of teaching than you will of 5-6 years of college.
And I'd even say, like, now that you're getting closer to it, it'll be here quicker than you think. But like when you get into student teaching, or like if you have hours you have to go and observe, like because I've had 3 or 4 student teachers now. The student teachers and the clinical students that I've had that I feel the most confident in are the ones that are not just gonna like sit in the back of the room and just be a body in the room. Like they're the ones that want to get their feet dirty or get their hands dirty and get their feet wet and like jump in and say, okay, what can I do today? Like for you, that might look like, hey, can I run warm-ups today? Is that okay with you? And then just to kind of jump in that way and then, work your way. But like, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty while you're still learning as a student too, because then that also provides you an opportunity for live feedback from the director you're learning under. So like if they're like, hey, run warm-ups today, and you get done warm-ups, and then after band class is over, they can sit there and go, okay, here's what I really enjoyed about that. You did this, this, this. Here's what you can work on for next time. Tomorrow, try it again.
Yeah. I always tell them when they come to observe me, especially if I know they're coming multiple days, like the first day you get to watch, but the second day I'm putting you to work. Like I don't even give them the option, like because they're going to get more out of it if they're actually, and that could be just sitting down and playing with them.
Mhm.
Bring your saxophone the second day and sit and play an ensemble, because sometimes we forget what it's like to be little Timmy holding a saxophone for the first time, and what it takes to get through that. So, yeah, this you have to create experiences of being on the job before you're on the job. The more that you can do that, the better.
Yeah.
So,
Um, with like being a music teacher and a band director specifically, one of the things that I've been thinking about, of course, I haven't finished the degree program. You know, I still have 3 entire semesters left of learning, and I've got a lot to learn, and I've got a lot of really helpful stuff that I'm sure I'm going to learn. Um, but what I'm sort of seeing is that the School of Music is teaching me all the content. You know, it's teaching me everything that I need to know about. Um, and the education courses, they're great. I loved educational psychology. I thought it was really helpful for me. I honestly, one of the most helpful classes I've taken, and I think like at the end of the day, I will apply more stuff from that class than I will any of my other education courses. It was just really helpful to me. But what a lot of times the education courses fail to like attend to is the music teachers. A lot of the scenarios that they present to you don't exist in a music classroom, and I'm not going to learn how to work through all that stuff. You know, it comes from field
you're
experience
getting
and going and
ready.
observing.
You're getting ready to your junior year. You're getting ready to take that stuff, like those Dr. Wilson
Yeah,
classes, teaching middle school music, teaching elementary music. I
yeah,
think it's like 312. Uh,
yeah. I
those
I took primary music last semester, and I've got middle school
Yeah.
music next semester with Dr. Wilson.
Yes, those are.
Um,
That's where you're going to get the bulk of that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
it's
just
it's coming.
But
it's intimidating.
Yeah.
yeah, and I'll even go ahead and tell you, I went through the elementary education program, and there are things that there you gonna know how to write a 25-page lesson plan that you'll never write ever again in your life, but you're not gonna know how to help little Timmy over here because of whatever their circumstances at home are that are preventing him from being an active participant in your classroom. That's You're not going to get that until you just develop the experience
Yeah.
and you learn from that. Like you talking about ed psych. I mean, I could go on. Could be a whole other episode talking about
This is
educational
awesome.
psychology. You talking about Maslow and
Mhm.
Bloom's taxonomy. I got you.
We got to change the name.
But 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 you teaching band camps already and gaining some of that experience and having that um hands-on, like learning in the moment how to be a staff member. My first couple of band camps, I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And I honestly didn't think I really hit my stride as a staff member on a band program until I hit my stride in my classroom. And I think that's one thing that's benefited our program, especially last year.
Yeah.
Every single staff member, except for our garden instructor, is a
As a teacher,
teacher,
is it like a
is a
certified
certified
teacher?
teacher. And we know how those skills and those relationship building things and all of that stuff that goes into being a teacher. You're not talking about books. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and Joes, right? Like you're we're, that those skills and those concepts that you just develop on your own when you come into your own as a teacher and you develop your personality, how your classroom works, how you work, how you operate, how you want your kids to operate, things like that. Once you hit that, that's when you really start to see, I would assume, your program take off,
Mhm.
because now you've got yourself established and then you
Mhm.
can start that way. But yeah, like
When-
I would say it took me 3 years in the classroom before I really felt
Yeah,
comfortable
when you're student
dealing
teaching
with
in your first few
stuff.
years of teaching, I told this to Klein, our high school band director, because he student taught under me, and then he started his career there. And I said, I will let the water get up to here, but I will not let you drown. And you're gonna feel like the water is up to here a lot when you're student teaching, and in your first 3 or 4 years of teaching. That's fine. Let it be there, because the learning comes from struggle. Like if you come in and this happens, and this is where a lot of people who come from high quality, like, and I mean high quality programs, struggle because they just think that you just walk in and it just
all
happens,
just works that way.
and it doesn't. It doesn't. So, uh, embrace the challenge.
And you've already done that because you have attended these drum corps camps on an instrument that you didn't know much about, in an organization that you didn't know how they operated twice, and you've lived the struggle, the productive struggle, the being teachable, being able to bounce back from criticism. Like that is a everyday thing. That's not just I learned this in drum corps. That's a life thing.
Yeah.
So you you're gonna have moments where when you're in the classroom or when you're teaching band camp even, and you're gonna go, okay, I remember when I was in this position because of such and such that happened during tour.
Mhm.
How did I get through that, or how did that staff member help me through it? I'm gonna do that for my kid.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you kind of already set yourself up for some success there if you don't forget about it.
Yeah.
What's your last question, Zach?
Oh, my last question, which is the last one we always end on, is what's your favorite drum corps show?
My favorite drum corps show. This is a very tough ask. I've changed it at least 6 times in like the past 2 years. There's just so many good shows, and I see them and I'm like, oh, that's so good, and then I see another one, I'm like, this is my favorite, and then I go back and I rewatch my show that was my favorite. I'm like, well, maybe it's still my favorite. If I had to choose one, I think just in terms of what I think is like the peak of drum corps, as a hornline member, not necessarily like speaking to the drums. I think Crown 2013 is my favorite show of all time, and that's like a common answer. I feel like, it's just everything that I feel like drum corps should be, and it's everything that I fell in love with. Not that drum corps isn't great now. It's
a
not
completely
exactly
different activity.
It feels like it's a completely different activity. Like if I had to, not to complicate the question too much, like pre-COVID and post-COVID, my favorite pre-COVID show is Crown 2013. My favorite post-COVID show, personally, I think changes everything. I couldn't really explain why.
I don't think anybody can explain why with that one.
It's
You're talking about
it made me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the drum corps that I fell in love with, but it also reminded me of the drum corps that I lived in, because 20 Changes Everything was 2024. I toured alongside that show. I saw it as it progressed and as it developed, and I like every new week I'd be at a show and I'd see like a new change they made to the show, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I can't imagine all the things that they do on a daily basis. I don't know. But I guess I kind of have two answers.
That's right.
It's
okay.
just
As
a viewer, I really appreciate newer drum corps, but as a member, I really appreciate older drum corps.
I like that.
If that makes
sense.
sense.
I like that take.
Yeah,
I really do. It's a very, very mature take because things change, man, and it's cool to be able to appreciate what has evolved from drum corps and not because and not hate it because it's different. That's because a lot of older generations, even older than Will,
barely older than you.
Yeah, but you're older than me. Anyway, but nah, it's
barely.
that it's like drum corps is not the same, and I was just like, it's not going to be, and it shouldn't be, because if it was what it was in that 70s, people wouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
So, well, Hunter, it's been a blast having you on. Good luck to you in your rest of your endeavors. And all of that good stuff. Like I said, you got Zach and me, and you can probably holler at Will too if you needed him.
Hey, for real.
to kind of help you along the line. But like always, you can let us know in the comments below what you thought about everything. What's your favorite show if you haven't said it to us before? And we're just kind of getting ready for the upcoming drum corps season. It'll be here before you know it. So a lot of really fun stuff happening. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also listen to us on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. So lots of places you can find us both visually and audibly. So lots of good stuff. So, all right. Well, let's get in there. So we'll probably have some show reveals coming up. We got to do open class and world class soon. We got to do this famous react. I know we talked about it, but it's coming.
It's gonna be a treat.
It's gonna be something. Hey, but you know what?
Is it?
It's. I'm gonna give another hint because I didn't give. It's apropos for a very special birthday.
Ooh, happy birthday!
Very apropos for a very special birthday that's coming up. So for that, Will, Hunter, and Chris, who's on the men. My name is Cedric. This has been another episode of On the Back Hash. You guys take care. Go start saving your monies so you can buy you a drum corps t-shirt of 14 and get to some shows because there's going to be a lot of shows, and I think drum corps is going to be awesome this year, like it's always been. So for me and the crew, to all of you guys, we are Dut out. World Cup, baby.
Spurs.
Here we
windy.
God dang Spurs.